We've got less than a minute to go for today's broadcast, even though I know you're watching it on video. I just always like to say that. But you never know. Just in case somebody is right there when you start, you might as well say that. All right. But hey, goodness to you. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. Good to know you're watching, and good to be able to be a blessing. Sometimes that's what we really have to remember is being placed to be a blessing. Sometimes that's really all that matters. I've got less than 30 seconds for today's message. Let me know where you're watching in from. I don't do as many shout outs on Friday. Yeah, Thursday is my more interactive broadcast, but I do say hello. So that's always good. So even if you're watching the video, go on and let me know where you're watching in from as we get ready. We got 10 seconds to go for today's message. So let's get ready to make that happen. All right. Cool and the gang. Oh, and here we go. Oops, and I always press that wrong button. But anyway, goodness to you. This is Sporty King, and I always say goodness because I don't know whether you're watching morning, afternoon, or evening. But isn't it great to have good in front of your salutation? Welcome to Gift Friday. I created it because so often we hear people say TGIF, thank God it's Friday. But I say, what allure does Friday have to the person who took their last breath on Thursday or any day before that for that matter? Therefore, I use what I learned in Psalm 92:2. And that is, it is good to proclaim your unfailing love in the morning, your faithfulness in the evening. Thus, instead of using TGIF, I use TGIT. Thank God it's today. And then TGIT, thank God it's tonight, which allows me to also throw in another wonderful scriptural favorite of mine, and that is Matthew 6:34. So don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. TGIT, thank God it's tonight. Today's trouble is enough for today. TGIT, thank God it's today. Yes, darkness always precedes the light. So I offer first another option for TGIF, and that is trusting God is free. Trusting God is free. Think about what it costs to be blessed with the greatest gift of the day. And I saw it on my boy Vic's post on Instagram today. The gift of waking up doesn't cost you a dime. However, though there's no cost there, that still moves us to realizing that we don't cost. We think of math, right? I just thought of that. That's why I'm stumbling. I thought of it. But we think of math when we think of cost. So let's do some math. Let's do some subtraction and some addition. First of all, let's take the T in TGIF and subtract it from the front and move it to the back. So instead of TGIF, we get GIFT, gift. And that's God is for today. What we should be giving thanks for every single day is the fact that God is for today. So Gift Friday is the online sharing of one of my original poems or poetic messages and its possible uses to inspire audiences online, in person, and in spirit, because we have to share from the heart so that it can have its best landing spot in other people's spirits. Okay, so each poem will be my gift to you. So here you'll hear me read it and share this week's gift. And if you like a copy, I'll be dropping that in the thread on Facebook and LinkedIn, so you'll be able to download your own colorful keepsake copy. Now, this week's gift is an inspirational message that I believe will help some people get on with their lives. I've chosen to believe that you really don't lose friends. Some people's time is just up in your life, or sometimes your time is up in theirs. Oh, y'all may think y'all are still really friends, until that thing that neither one of you will overlook pops up, and then you have to make a choice. Still, you have to make a choice of maybe cutting them loose. or being cut loose. Still, some people only wait to use anger to cut somebody loose. And I say, I don't use anger and I don't hold grudges. I've cut a lot of people loose. A lot of people laugh about how many people I've cut loose. But let me tell you something. I don't use anger and I don't hold grudges. I remember the feelings, and I remember the facts. See, that's the difference. I remember the feelings and I remember the facts. I remember how I felt about how I wouldn't treat you, or more importantly, how I'd feel if I knew how I was treating you. See, that's remembering the feelings and the facts. It's not holding a grudge. But what makes me see this as an inspirational message is this reminder that you don't have to be enemies. You see, I tend to cut people off when I can no longer offer them the unconditional friendship and trust that nurtured our relationship's growth to the height that it's gone to. See, when I see that I can no longer be the friend they allowed into their lives, I cut them loose rather than wait for them to see that I'm not. Because it's not about them, it's about me. It's not about them, it's about you. Make it about you. I don't cut somebody loose for who they are. I cut them loose for who I am, or even who I am when they're around. See, some people are comfortable being phony and calling it politically correct, but I'm not. What I don't have, what I don't have a problem with is being cordial when necessary, which is why I've entitled this poem, We Can Speak, but We Ain't Speaking. We can speak, but we ain't speaking. The courtesy smile preceding the hollow hug faded into the background as the sound of silent memory and rememory of an encounter that wasn't missed, it was skipped. And now it sits in Skip City. They say the atmosphere there isn't thick, it's just pretty soon the story was shared, and the reputation scarred before it could smooth out the wrinkle of the past. A wrinkle that has spaces and vacancies that wear the mask of solidarity in public, hide in public while hiding and holding on to that image of we on, ain't we? Ain't we speaking? Or are we remembering what was said and done? That's a recent poem. This is my first time sharing it, by the way. But meanwhile, I want you to notice that the ending has two doubles. It has two doubles. See this there? That actually has two doubles. There's a double meaning, as we must realize that relationships can be ended by things that are said or actions that are taken. And there's a double use of the word done. It's a double meaning when we realize that, and I'm going to flip back to that. A double use when we realize that relationships can be ended by things that are said or actions that are taken. And there's a double use of done. So are we remembering what was said and done? See, that's what was said and the action taken, or we remember what was said and therefore we're done. So that's the double meanings, okay? So remember that every relationship can be ended by things that are said or actions that are taken. So done becomes a part of your vocabulary. But always remember that some people's time is just up in your life, or that yours is up in theirs. Get the feelings and the facts and release the grudges. I'm Sporty King. And remember that sometimes we can speak, but we ain't speaking. So I'm Sporty King, and I want you to enjoy your gift. TGIT. Thank God it's today and tonight. And meanwhile, if you haven't yet If you aren't yet receiving, oh my God, thank God. Oh, okay, my bad. Now I see where I am. Okay. If you aren't yet receiving my free monthly email fun letter, The Golden Brick Road, scan the QR code and get that on your to-do list. Have a safe and final weekend in April. What's going on, Lorenzo? We all have warts, and I choose not to hide or put them on display. I prefer to heal my warts and know when asked to assist in wart healing of others. Yeah, it's about you, how you feel. My company name is The Top Line. I don't know if you can see my logo, but it's the top line. And the top line is how I feel affects other people. You can't get to the bottom line. We hear people say, hey, what's the bottom line? The bottom line is impacted by the top line. It's impacted by how you feel, because how you feel affects other people, and how other people feel affects your business and affects you. So make sure that you recognize that cutting people loose is not at all about them. It's all about you. How do you feel when that person's around? How does that person make you feel? How did you feel when that person did that thing to you? With that, you can let that release the anger, because at first it feels angry. But when you start to understand what feelings are all about and recognize that no emotion is wrong, they just exist, how we treat that emotion is what gives it the title. So when you feel that anger, yes, it's anger first, but then when you think about the facts and the feelings and say, okay, I can release this as anger and recognize that this is something that I don't want to keep in my life, because I don't want to have this feeling. So now I can release that. I'm not holding a grudge. I'm recognizing that this is not something I want. Remember, we like that saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Okay? See, so it's the same thing. And if you keep allowing yourself to be fooled by a feeling that you don't really want to house, how can you blame the other person for just being who they are? Hey, Marcia, you really can love from a distance. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. LOVE, let ourselves value everyone. Love from a distance. Love somebody for who they are, not necessarily always who they are in your life, because there's someone who loves them that encourages them to keep being that way. Sometimes, see, you can't decide why somebody is the way they are, because you don't know their full story. You get to, one of the things I like to say is, just because, when I cut somebody loose, it's because it's the last straw. So just because you saw the last straw doesn't mean that you know what was in the barnyard. See, understand that people have to do what they have to do and be who they have to be. Lorenzo, how you start is important. Sustained fairness is a mutual conclusion. And let's put a pin in that. How you start is important. That's not the same as you only get one chance to make a first impression. Because the truth is, you get every chance to make a new impression. All right. Yeah, you get one chance to make a first impression based on who you are today. But guess what? If your life changes and you become a new person, now you have another chance. You actually have one chance to be that new person. It's not another chance to be the old person, but it's a new chance to be the new one. And if someone doesn't accept you, if they're still, again, using it as a grudge for who you used to be, well, then guess what? Now you got to go to your belief in God, where you say, well, God wouldn't give me anything that wasn't for me. And so you may have to let that go. And that's a nugget as well. So let's keep remembering to drop nuggets and throw seeds. Jesus, he never told the farmers to aim the seeds. Remember that. When he said, he gave 4 choices of where the seed would land. He gave you hard ground, thorns, shallow grounds, and only option number 4. What was behind door number 4 was what you were seeking, and that was the nurturing seed. But he never said aim the seed. He still said throw the seed and recognize that it will land where it's supposed to land according to his will. And what Lorenzo says, great, it's a new impression. Yeah, you always get a first chance to make a new impression. And the people who are supposed to be in your life, they'll be there. God has been waiting and holding. So again, my Golden Brick Road, scan the QR code and send me a request that I get you on that monthly fund letter. But even if you don't, you'll see it on my no, you won't see it. You know what? I used to load it onto my YouTube channel. I mean my website, but I stopped using my website. So you just have to you just have to subscribe. It's free. Look, I'm Sporty King. I'm going to be out of here. Have a wonderful final weekend in April. And may the April showers bring us the May flowers, but not bring us over on another Mayflower. Blessings, brother, and great peace and weekend. I'll give a 5-second countdown as I always do, because I know there's a delay in posts that come from Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever you are. I haven't given them a shout out in a while, but StreamYard is the technology that I use to do these broadcasts. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lorenzo, you got the last word. Blessings to you, my brother, as well. Over and out, y'all. Hey, and remember, even if you're watching the video, you go on and put something in there too. Everybody can get the last word, and everybody can get the next to last word. That might be another nugget, Marcia, and that might be something that I'll have to do a broadcast on. I'm out of here for real, y'all. Be safe. Peace.